passionate speakers on the issue of zoning. Some of you believe that zoning eliminates property rights and that property values will be negatively affected. Those are false claims. Zoning is the primary land use planning tool granted to local governments. Zoning stabilizes property values. Some are afraid that farm operations will be jeopardized. That is false. State law says local zoning regulations cannot be applied to agricultural activities. You saw the list: animal operations, crops, timber operations, nursery, horse farm, and horticulture. Working farms in your neighboring counties. Remember, everyone around you is fully zoned, including Randolph County, which is primarily agricultural. Working farms in these counties, and even eastern Chatham. We have farms in eastern Chatham also, not just the west exclusively. They are operating under zoning, and they are operating successfully. All existing farm enterprises and businesses, as Commissioner Petty pointed out, will continue operation. So they will be grandfathered and they can expand in the future. The protection from neighbors. What you do impacts your neighbors and their rights to the enjoyment of their property. Property rights are reciprocal. Even if you have good relationships with your neighbors today, what happens when the property is sold? I had that experience with 400 acres around me. I live in the unzoned area, less than 10 miles from where we are. I saw property change hands, and I saw what happened. The owner died, 90 years old. The inheritor doesn't live here. That property changed hands very, very quickly. That can happen to any one of us in the West, in the East. Doesn't matter. Property can change hands. Zoning provides a legal process that allows neighbors to be heard when somebody wants to do something that changes the area. Chatham, as we said, is unzoned. We are vulnerable to every industrial and commercial use that is not going to be allowed in Orange, Moore, Wake, Durham, and Lee. Things like a prison, and believe me, there are plenty of prisons around this state. Chemical plants, tanneries, wastewater treatment, pesticide mixing plants, railroad freight yards, concrete plants, landfills, hazardous waste dump. By the way, we do have one in Chatham. Garbage incinerator, quarries. We had not only 12, we had 3 more, and we had more applications. We had 15 applications for quarries in Chatham County. 3 of them are less than 1 mile from this school. Less than 1 mile as crow flies. You could even have an ATV racetrack. That happened down the river from me. Any one of these operations can be 24/7 in the unzoned area of Chatham. As to open use zoning, as Commissioner Petty indicated, has difficulties also. It is not possible to predict every obnoxious use that that might be opened up and operated. You think you have a list, but somebody might have something not on that list. One western county, for example, Henderson, in the western part of the state, did implement open use because of an asphalt plant. Oh, we have one of those in Chatham also. They changed from open use to regular zoning several years later for better neighborhood protection of their citizens. They did not regret that decision. Business wants zoning certainty before they invest. Yes, I agree. I mean, I'm from a farming background in Pennsylvania myself. And I agree that farms that have lots of independent little businesses spun off because you need to maintain your equipment, you need to do things on your farm. And that is absolutely essential. And they sprang up because you had the farm. Those businesses occurred because you had the farm. Those businesses will be protected and will be zoned if we follow some recommendations here in the correct categories. Being unzoned is an economic liability. Although the pace of change, and we heard this, it is true, pace of change on the eastern half, because of Wake County, Orange and Durham, Chatham Park, Research Triangle, that is definitely moving this way. It is moving west. It's not going to stop at Pittsburgh. It is not going to stop at 15501. It is not going to stop at 87. It's going to continue to move. And it's moving, it'll be moving this way. Do you want to have some controls or not? That to me is the fundamental question. Real estate speculation is occurring right now in this county, even in the West. Somebody showed a card earlier. That is the economic reality of the time, right now. Chatham's Park impact is going to spread down 902 and Highway 64. If and when a major auto manufacturer selects 1,800 acres in Siler City at the mega site, do you think it's all going to be contained in those 1,800 acres and isn't going to go travel down the road to Goldston, past Siler City, toward Gulf? Of course not. If the county, the landscape could change literally in a few years in the western half of this county. Should we be chasing the tail, or should we institute zoning now? I would like to mention, I was just at a North Carolina Association of County Commissioners meeting this last weekend. And while I was there, I talked to a number of commissioners about zoning. And I was trying to find those that didn't have zoning, and also what preparations were being made. Here's an interesting case. Up in the northeast corner of North Carolina are a couple of really narrow little counties, and one of them is called Camden. Those little narrow counties are just south of the Virginia, they run up to the Virginia border. Those counties are all being impacted by Norfolk, Virginia. The growth is coming down from the Tidewater. By the way, this was a Republican county commissioner. This is a Republican group of Republican county commissioners, not Democrats, Republicans. The point is that during the economic downturn, they were unzoned, all ag. They had a little town. They are all ag, and in fact, they were so concerned that they instituted zoning. And when I was talking to commissioners at the table, they said that was the best decision they made because they now had an opportunity to control the growth. And who would have guessed in the economic downturn in 2010, they took an action that has been playing out really big for them in the last few years. So you can't get behind, you have to be out in front. This is what we're trying to do. I have as I mentioned, I live close here. I live on the Rocky River. We have an acreage and a 1960s chicken house. I take my trash to Bonley. That makes me fairly local here. And I shop in Siler City. Protection of the environment, preservation of prime farmland, continuation of rural lifestyles are important goals for me. I like where I live. The county is engaged in this planning process to develop our comprehensive land use plan. Yes, you saw that statement over there. We do have a narrative, a comprehensive land use plan, but it never had a map. In order for us to be legal with the state of North Carolina, we need a map. And in order to have a map, we are going through the process now. We started the process because the comprehensive land use plan is how we think as Siler City, as Goldston, as Bear Creek, as Bennett, as Pittsboro, as all these communities around Silk Hope, all these communities around the county, how we think we want to look 25 years from now. We cannot go back. We can only go forward. The growth pressure is here. How do we handle it? Do we pretend it's not here? Do we think if we just turn our back, it goes away? That's not it. That is not reality. How many more postcards are you going to get? Sell your property to me. You're going to get. So I think without a plan, we're sitting ducks for any outside scheme that sets up shop in Chatham. Zoning is how we protect our neighbors. I will support zoning.